And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to our 50th/1st edition of Nina Goes Live, LinkedIn Straight Talk for coaches and creators, and anybody else who wants to watch. We're inclusive here. And for this new iteration of our show, I'm super excited to have the fabulous Miranda von Fricken. I didn't ask you how to pronounce your last name. I assume this is it.
Yeah, that's it.
I met Miranda about a half a year ago at a conference, and well, it was memorable. We'll talk about that in a minute. And I just asked you to be on this show even when I was going to reiterate it, and here we are. So welcome, Miranda. Thank you for making time out of your busy schedule to be with us here today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Okay, great. Awesome. That makes two of us.
Yay.
Why don't you just give us like the elevator, like to the 50th floor version of who you are and what you do.
All right. So it's so funny that it changes every time because although I don't change every time, it just depends on my energy for the day. And today I'm feeling kind of energized. So typically what I say is I am the founder of Own Your Awesome. It is a podcast, a best-selling book series, and a movement for, there she is.
It's Post-its all over.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Oh, that's my favorite. Makes my heart sing. So Own Your Awesome is essentially a rally cry for women, professionals, non-professionals, people who identify as women, to ultimately own their special gifts that they were given when we agreed to join this earth in this little experiment here. So my thought is we came to earth with certain gifts and inner power. And when we connect to that, shine a light on it, which I do that on LinkedIn, obviously, we ultimately get to help elevate everyone, the collective awesomeness, if you will, of the women around us in our household, our daughters, our sisters, our friends and family and clients. And so it does start, though, with that ownership. And so I have a master's in motivation. I'm obsessed with self-leadership. And so everything I do is with that foundation of ourselves. We start within, we shine a light, shine outside of ourselves. And then that ripple effect it goes everywhere, to our work, to our coworkers, everyone, in order to ultimately do the thing we're meant to do while here. We all have a calling on our hearts, whether it's, to start a business, whether it's to save the whales. We all have a calling. And the sooner we tap into that and start living that out, the happier we'll be. So why not start now? So I think it starts with owning our awesome. And that's
totally agree. Totally agree. And I love how you've just got it all packaged and in a message that is clearly understandable and relatable, right?
Yes.
So before I ask you the tons of questions I have around the awesome and the levels of sharing yourself and all of that wonderful stuff, why LinkedIn?
Oh man, why not LinkedIn? All right, how long do you have?
I know. You and I, we totally agree here. So again, we're going to the 50th floor. So your pitch on that.
Yeah. So I actually been on LinkedIn since 2007. So I'm one of the OGs. I was a career director at a college. So you read my book. That's a part of my story. I was a college career director. And so back when it was just a resume site and a Rolodex, right? It was literally, I had LinkedIn on and that spinny Rolodex thing with all my contacts at the same time. Hilarious. And so I utilized it to help my students connect to opportunity. So back in the day, my headline was connecting talent to opportunity, right? So back when the headline was just a little something. And so I loved it. I loved connecting professionals to young, bright talent, my college students. And then after I left the higher education scene, I went into the tech sector in human resources. So I became a recruiter, an in-house talent acquisition manager, and I started to hire people from LinkedIn. And so I was a recruiter essentially, and I would find talent for our 3 locations in different countries. And I accidentally created a personal brand, I say, on LinkedIn back in 2015, before it was cool and everybody was here and all the rage happened. I chose LinkedIn early on because it worked in my 9-to-5 life. So I'm a reformed 9-to-5er, and I used it at every single job I was in, and I just kind of took it with me, and I thought it was the coolest thing. So when you leave a company, typically IT shuts you down and you don't have anything, but LinkedIn, you get to take everywhere with you. So I learned very early on how valuable this professional Rolodex was. And then, of course, once it became the awesomeness that it is today, I just jumped full in and started creating content, sharing photos of the office that I was trying to recruit people for. And people were like, ultimately putting like my LinkedIn posts, referencing them in their cover letters for the jobs they were applying for. It was hilarious. So I chose LinkedIn. I just happened to stumble upon it. I think it's a part of my divine plan, if you will. And I've just been on it ever since. I started in 2016 coaching my company how to use LinkedIn. Other people got wind, wanted me to train them. Women in tech organizations started coming to me, like the groups, asking me to train on LinkedIn and why this can help us in our career. And then I got laid off. And so I used LinkedIn to find a job for myself. And I've just been a part of everything. Like, I've been a student. I've been the career director. I've been the recruiter. I've been the hiring manager. I've been the unemployed person looking for work. I've used LinkedIn from every angle. Now the entrepreneur in the last 10 years, so I've used it for every single angle, and everything I've done professionally, LinkedIn's been there for me. I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like LinkedIn's my friend.
I mean, me too, but it's very funny how your take on LinkedIn is so incredibly different from mine.
Personal.
Yeah, because I've always been a small business owner, right? And for me, LinkedIn is this, again, very early adapter. It was a window to the world, which I didn't have prior. And then, of course, to me, it's all about, wow, I can find clients on LinkedIn organically with inbound marketing, which is how my nervous system works. And I love it, right? That's better lighting, by the way.
Can you tell it's a new thing? And I'm like clicking the button.
I know. It's like the film producer in me will never. I always say I'm a recovering film producer, but I think the recovery is not going so well.
No, I know. I hear you. Oh my gosh, hilarious.
Yeah. So I think one thing that, especially my audience, I don't even want to say struggles with, but is kind of trying to find their way is, I have at this point a lot of clients who are coming from Facebook. They're coming, maybe not from TikTok, but via TikTok, little detour there. And they're women my age-ish. Like, we don't want to dance. We don't want to make asses of ourselves. How are we how do we own our awesome such that it makes sense for us? And I think this is really where, you've really nailed it. And I do have some questions about that too, but let's sort of go into the would you, like, for those of us who are a little more reserved or not as on all the time, how does that own your awesome look like?
Wait, you don't show up in pink tutus?
No, I don't. I will have a dog on my arm who really doesn't want to be there. He's like, down. I want to be chasing squirrels. He's only this big, but he thinks he's a pit bull at a minimum. So yeah, no pink tutus for me. It's not even the tutu as much as the pink part.
Yeah. So I work with a lot of self-described introverts, right? So I think they feel very called to my energy, and they want to know like how I do it, what this is all about. I think the extroverts, they're already there, they're already expressive, and they just want to learn LinkedIn. So, obviously I have two different types I have multiple types of clients. So when I'm working with those who are a little more reserved, I tell them to be themselves no matter what platform they're on, right? So LinkedIn, so I look at LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok as like different events, because I used to be in events. And so to me, like TikTok is like a I think it's like a high school dance. I know it sounds corny, but like it's a high school dance. It's fun. It's like a maybe a bar at college, you know, like, and you're just doing like crazy stuff, being fun and very, very extroverted. Like I'm sure there's introverted people on TikTok because it's a valuable platform. My daughter was mortified when I got on TikTok, so I had to get off it.
Oh no, that's my face.
All our friends are following me, and I'm like, oh, sorry, kid. Instagram was very like fashion show, art museum, like very visual.
Yep.
Facebook was backyard barbecue for me. Like Facebook was like, I'm getting together with the family. This is what I ate for lunch. Like I'm connecting with my friends and very, you know, very casual. LinkedIn is a networking event. LinkedIn 100% to me is I'm walking into a conference or an event in my industry, and I need to show up to impress. So back when I was the career director, I would tell my students to dress to impress. And now I pretty much feel the same way. It's a line in my book. You don't have to dress to impress per se on LinkedIn, but you do have to show up to impress. And if you don't impress, they will scroll on by. And so my thought is if you're introverted, get really confident with who you are and what you bring to the table, which my thought is they're probably already there, especially like if we're older professionals and we've been doing it for a while. If you own your awesome, because that's not LinkedIn, that's internal, right? So when we own our awesome and feel very confident about it and could literally speak to our expertise for like 20, 30 minutes and answer questions without preparation. At that point, we feel very confident. Then all it is deciding how you're going to show up on LinkedIn. So if live video isn't your jam, don't go live. If video is not your jam, don't do video. You can do a static photo. You can do, you know, graphics. You can do info. Be the educator. You can inspire by sharing your story. You never have to take a selfie to be successful on LinkedIn, although I highly recommend it.
Agreed. Yeah.
So just show up as you, and the right people will be attracted to you, because I find that they get this sense of imposter syndrome, which is not really a thing. However, you can't be an imposter at being yourself.
Yeah. And I love that you say that, because I always say it takes too much energy to upkeep being someone you're not.
100%.
Even if it's just on LinkedIn, right? It's just, you have to be yourself and you have to be true to yourself, right?
100%.
So if that, given that, tell me a little bit about, you know, you have a very distinct brand, you have a very distinct style, you have your colors, you're wearing them today. We do not see your legs, but
you want to see my legs, lady?
What's going on?
Only for you, Nina. I swear I've never done a live or a podcast with my tutu on. I will often bring the confetti.
Yep. Oh, there we go. Yay.
Not ever have I put on my tutu. So
and the confetti is on your book cover as well. So by the way, really, really lovely book. I sat down on a Saturday morning. I read it through in one go because it was just, and the Post-its are the things I haven't filled in yet for myself.
Nice.
Really a great mix between inspiring story, great advice, and some really pertinent worksheets. So I highly recommend the book. So the pink tutu, when I met you, you did not wear the pink tutu. You wore, which I thought was probably even more impressive, tights that were, they reminded me of a Roy Lichtenstein painting. They were a comic strip.
My pal pants.
Yes.
They gave me power. I felt very confident in my pal pants. But yeah, so obviously She Leads is a whole vibe. Energy of itself. And so people will ask, are you wearing the tutu? But I wore the tutu the year before. So I sat on a panel the year prior and I showed up in the tutu and everybody knew me. Like they recognized my vibe and then they felt my energy. And then of course they requested or bring it up and it's a great conversation starter, but I couldn't come the second year. I thought maybe a blue tutu or something different, but I was just really feeling those pants. And
you come off beautifully.
that's how I roll. However I feel the most powerful, the most confident, I follow that, because I know at that point my expression, which I was speaking, to a room full of 100 women about owning our awesome on LinkedIn, and I knew I had to feel my most awesome. And so I wore my pow pants in my hot pink shoes.
Yes, it was memorable, and I must say your slide deck was yet again also a Roy Lichtenstein extravaganza. Really loved your I should have prepared I took some photos of you on stage. I should have prepared one of them to show.
We can put them in the comments later.
Yeah, I will. I'll upload it into the comments. Absolutely. So where, for people who are, I mean, you own your brand, you own your visuals, you own your energy, you're very clear on who you are, how you show up, and what you do for home. For those of us who are still fiddling with the the colors, the brand, the energy, where I find that sometimes people sort of cross a little bit into the TMI icky place. How do you handle that I mean, A, have you had experiences of that yourself? And B, how do you handle that with your clients?
So I definitely think there's a line right there. And it's funny. So people may not think I have boundaries or a line, but to me, I will share stories about my children or lessons they've learned and how it relates to business. I don't often share photos of my daughter, my young daughter, because the world's crazy. And so so you won't see her on Insta. If we're connected on Facebook, it's because we've met in person. So you may see her on Facebook. You won't see her on LinkedIn. It's very rare for me to put a photo. And if I do, it's usually one from like 5 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's something, a little, or it's like, if I share a picture, she plays basketball. So there's a lot of lessons in female sports. And so I'll share a photo of like her on the court, but like, I'll like take out the high school name, like I'll figure it out. So to me, that's a strong boundary that I have. I shared though, so I've been through a lot. I don't know how much of my story but I've lost 2 little brothers in the last 5 years. One, I know I still get emotional, so I try to say it very matter of fact to not like change too much of the energy. But one to a tragic random accident at home, and one to long form COVID, and that was a little over a year ago. So it's still very fresh. And so there are times I disappeared from LinkedIn for like a chunk of time, and people are like, where are you? What's happening? And so I felt very called and comfortable sharing with my network what happened. And it was like one post, here's what's happening. And once in a blue moon, I will, like on the anniversary or another lesson or their birthday, something just to honor them. And I don't share too much because I don't want my audience to be stuck in that zone, just because I don't want to be stuck in that zone either. So, so I will share personal things, but within limits, right? So we're not sharing, the silly photos of, I tell people, don't share your lunch. I don't care that you had these delicious tacos at this location. But if you're at a lunch meeting with a client, take a picture of you at the lunch table, having fun, and make it about the beautiful conversation you had, the topics that came up. And then maybe at the bottom, you put like a picture of like an emoji of a sandwich or something and say, and the food was fantastic and it was here, like as a little caveat to personalize it. So I would, though, this is a business platform. So so back to that, it's a networking event. Would you walk up to someone, introduce yourself, and then say something super personal? Like, would you walk up and say something, like, I just got diagnosed with X, right? Probably not. However, if you're speaking at that event, you may share that as a part of your story, right?
I always think my rule with where you're crossing the line or not is, if you're still in the messy middle of whatever it is you're talking about and you haven't found a solution yet, don't share it, right? These messy middle of the life kind of stories can be great, but they have to come with a little bow on top. And this is how I handle it, or this is, how it works out, or whatever. But just sharing for the sake of sharing and being in the middle of it and screaming at the top of your lungs and flailing with your hands, No bueno. Yeah. You don't
So
want
the one caveat to that is, and I'm not a big messy middle person either, but I'm often messy. And I don't hide from that. That's a part of, that's who I am, right? Like honesty and authenticity is how I roll. If I'm in the messy middle, so in the book, you'll read my core values for LinkedIn are fire, right? Like faith, intentions, impact. So what are my intentions with this post? If I'm about to write, like I just fell and stubbed my toe and something crazy happened, am I going to put a picture of me crying with a toe? No, probably not. However, if I like broke something and I can't walk and I'm like depressed and like what the intention may be to let people know I'm in this now, but I'm not going to stay here. And I may call to action a conversation that says, have you ever been in a situation like this? What did you do to get over it? I would love to hear your thoughts. I'd love your advice because that's going to bring a lot of traction. Let's be honest, like asking for people's advice when you're in the messy middle, they're going to love it. They want to hear their own voice. But I wouldn't, you've seen like those CEOs crying, I just had to fire somebody. And I'm like, oh, you did it so wrong, because there is a great way to share your feelings about having to lay off your whole organization and how you feel like crap, but it's not a picture of you in cry mode. Like that's too much, that we're now going to make fun of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the empathy should be with the people who got fired, not with you. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So we just got a question. How do you respond in the moment when someone asks a question that crosses personal or professional boundaries? So I'm assuming that's in the comments, right?
Yeah, Raina. Hey girl, I love Raina. So she asked a really good question. So if somebody in the comments asks something that's personal and you want to answer it, but not in front of the whole world, take it to the DMs.
Yes.
But comment and say, hey, so-and-so, what a great question. I'm going to answer this privately because the answer is not for everyone, but I do want to help you because maybe you're asking for a reason. Or if you're just like flat out, I'm not answering that, then don't answer it. You don't have to. Yeah. You can be like, that's none of your business. Beat it. Yeah. It also may be a professional one. And I don't know if this is where she may be going, but sometimes they want professional advice and we get paid to give advice, right? Like I'm a coach. If someone says to me, what's going on with the LinkedIn algorithm these days, I'll send them one of my freebies or direct them to a video I've already done, or send them a little voice memo, but I'm not going to give them something that I charge for. Right. So, so for me, I'll give them a little bit of an answer to kind of help them get past where they're feeling, to help them unstuck themselves, right, if you will. But if I've had people before ask, like, can you look at my profile? What should I do with it? You should send me some money. And I'll put that in the comments. You should send me some money so I can answer this, laugh out loud. And then I'll send them a voice memo and say, listen, there is a lot of opportunity within your profile. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it, but this is a service I offer. And let me know if you're open to that. And then we'll go from there. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Been there, done that. Yeah. For sure. Maintaining. So if you have a high energy brand like you do, like I always feel a little nervous about maintaining it.
Yeah.
Is that something that really is only recommended for high energy people who are always like, I have a friend, Chris, when you're on the call with her, she's like, wah, 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 wah. And then she said to me once, she said like, I only have one setting and that's on, and that's great. But like, I couldn't do that. I can be that way. And I can be very boisterous and very loud, but it's not something I think I would want to maintain as a brand all the time, right? So how does that work for you?
So I get tired and cranky, and don't mess with me the week before my cycle. So I'm not going live, right? So I keep it real. Like that is my motto. Keep it real. If I'm feeling like ass, so I just got hit by a truck, I probably am not going to post, right? I'm probably not, or I'm going to pull something out of my content pockets. Like I write down, my brain just works in content and I have ideas for days. So I may pull something out and pre-schedule it ahead of time, knowing that I'm not feeling it. Yesterday, I had a kind of blah day, right? And so blah isn't a part of my brand, but I'm my brand. So I get to do what I want. But I didn't actually post anything specific because I just didn't know how it would help anybody.
Yep.
Like I'm feeling blah. So who freaking cares? And why do you give a crap that I feel blah today? You don't. So I'm not going to waste your time and energy and just put it out there unless I was feeling blah because of a certain reason or I needed advice. Like, so ask yourself, what's the point, right? Like, what's the point of me putting this out today? If you are questioning about you want to post, but you're not sure what to post and you're not feeling it. I post when the spirit moves me. That's what I say. That if the spirit's not moving, neither am I. Like, it's okay. So I'm not on all the time, and I don't claim to be.
So this brings up actually a really, really, really interesting question for me. I plan my content out quarterly. I actually have a quarterly planning session right after this.
Yep, nice.
And that doesn't mean I write everything and prepare everything, but it's planned out quarterly. I tend to have everything ready the week prior. Mm-hmm. So everything I do is planned out pretty much way in advance. How much does that support or potentially stifle my owning my awesome?
So it depends on the energy you're in when you're writing it that quarter. So you're getting off the call with me, so you're going to feel fantastic. So go plan, girl. Go do your content. However, so this is a great question for content, for email lists, for podcasts, for all the batchers out there. And that's something I know I need to get better at is batching. However, I'm not going to batch and create content just to create content, because if I'm not feeling it, you're not going to feel it. Right. And then my bank account's going to feel it in the wrong direction. So I think there is definitely value in planning quarterly. I do it too. I plan month to month. I do a lot of planning on Mondays. Mondays is my money and marketing and MEO days, I call it, where I focus on my money and I focus on my marketing. And so I'll say to myself, what's happening this week based on what was happening when I planned in the quarter, right? So I have high level ideas like this is coming out, I'm doing this event, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to Sedona, so I'm going to post about Sedona. Like, I know ahead of time what's happening in my world, and I leave space for what happens in the actual world, not just mine. And then before I even put it out, I'll say, does this still resonate? You know, is this still, what I actually have like a notebook for podcast ideas, and I still have like 50 of them I haven't done yet because I was feeling them when I wrote it down. I'm not feeling them now. Right. Yes. But maybe someday I will feel it. So I think I would rather put out less content, although this does hurt our consistency, which we know is very valuable on LinkedIn. But if I say to myself, I post when the spirit moves me. If it's not moving, I don't post. But the next post is probably going to be fantastic. I can catch up on the algorithms and consistency. Right now I'm playing catch up because I wasn't feeling it the last couple of weeks. Right after a big trip, I was feeling myself. And then now I was feeling a little tired and I needed to recharge. So I didn't put anything out. And so planning is fantastic because think about it. Planning, if you're trying to lose weight, you have to food prep. It's so important, right? Like, so is prepping our content because we're a business. We're not just posting for fun, I assume. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think to me, I mean, I always joke and say my middle name is consistency. So, I'm just
getting that middle name. I said, my mom did not give me that as a middle name.
I gave it as myself as a middle name.
Yeah.
I have a middle name, which is awful. So I'll replace it happily with this one.
There you go.
It's anything better than what I have. So yeah, the consistency game. So I just think like, I have like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 a.m. is non-negotiable.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, and I'm the queen of batch producing because if you do video, which I do tons of, it has to be pre-planned and batch produced, right?
Yeah. So I go live a lot because the spirit's moving me. Here we go. But I have
spur of the moment.
Yeah. So I will do live spur of the moment. If I don't have a post to put out, I may go live if my hair is done. I'm feeling it.
For us women, always the thing, right? The damn hair. Is it done or not? Yeah.
I know. Always. However, I will, I have a LinkedIn live show myself called Awesome Conversations. It's Wednesdays at noon. And so, but sometimes I won't go live so I interview people. So like if I didn't schedule it, sometimes I'll go by myself, do a solo show, but that's what my podcast is for. So, you know what I mean? So I'm all about consistency, but I'm not going to be consistent and put something in there that's kind of a waste.
I agree. And Raina just had another good question, and I'll answer it quickly. The sweet spot for posting on LinkedIn is once a day. No, you get actually penalized by the algorithm if you post more than once within a 24-hour span. So one of the many reasons I love LinkedIn, we don't have to post multiple times a day.
Well, I actually hate that part of LinkedIn because when I'm feeling it, so back in the day before the algorithm actually so what happens, Raina, is it splits our reach. So if we post twice and we were going to get 1,000 views, we're going to get 5 and 5. It's kind of like what's happening. However, I have audiences in all the time zones. So I sometimes 12 hours later may put something out if I'm feeling it, right? It has to also be purposeful, you know? But so I used to love so Instagram don't care. I'm just going to put it all out when I'm feeling it. And it circulates and that's that. And stories. I used to be obsessed with LinkedIn stories. And it's one of the features I'm so sad they took away from us because that gave us the ability in real time when we're at events. Think about if we're at a live conference, we don't want to just do one post.
Right.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Oh my goodness. That breaks my little heart. But yeah, just once, Raina, unfortunately.
Thank God.
Yeah. Thank God to some people, unfortunately to some others.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think it also depends on your form that day, right?
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Excellent. Very good. So unfortunately, we're up on time. My last question to you is, if there was one thing that you want to say to the audience as they, go on the merry way, be it that they're live with us or watching the replay, what would be the one LinkedIn advice that you want to give people?
My one bit of advice is to not look for perfection, right? Don't look for perfection. Put something out there, or if you're I'm paralyzed by putting out content, I don't know what to say. You don't even have to. Just start engaging with people that you think are awesome, and that will wake up your algorithm and it will get you to meet a lot of people. A lot of my biggest clients come from being lurkers. So if you're on LinkedIn, take the next step. Go from lurker to maybe engager. Lurker to liker. How about that? Start liking. That way somebody will see your name and come to your profile. So, but make sure your profile looks good because you don't want to start bringing people to your profile if it looks crazy.
No one crazy. Yeah.
Just keep that next step, whatever that next step is for you. Yeah.
Awesome advice, Miranda. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on today. Again, if you haven't yet, this is a great book to look at. And do you have any other resources, freebie resources, Miranda, that we can put into the show notes?
Heck yeah, I sure do. So go to my website, mirandavonfricken.com/freebies, and you will see a whole bunch of them. I've got live trainings. One is called How You DM is How You Do Everything. And it's all about the DMs and the mistakes people are making, how you can avoid them. So that's usually my biggest freebie, but I have lots of other things too with branding and books and all that good stuff. So yeah, go check it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Miranda. And for everybody else, we'll be back next month with a very different guest, also a LinkedIn focused entrepreneur, and Joe Apfelbaum, formerly known as the Rapper. And he's quite the character. So that's going to be an interesting conversation too. So stay tuned and see you all next month.
Bye.
Bye.